This is Shelley Kraft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the Marcum MicroCap Conference 2017 in New York City. I have with me Riggs Eckelberry, OriginClear. It's a publicly traded company and the symbol is OCLN. Riggs, welcome to SNNLive.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's good to have you. Let's get started on your overview and then we'll go from there.
Shelley, we are the 10-year overnight success. And I'm amazed at the reception we're getting here at this conference because our technology is really happening worldwide. We're acquiring companies, and people feel that we are really ready for a massive expansion, both in the markets and in the field.
Tell me what the company does.
Very simply, we recover all of that lost water that's being thrown away. And I don't know if you know this, but there's a major situation coming where by 2030, 40% more demand for water than there is supply, and meanwhile, we're throwing it away.
Where are we throwing it?
One good example is in the oil fields where all that water comes up, and the oil companies are doing, the sensible thing. They're putting it deep underground where it's not going to do any harm. But actually that water could be used productively to restore aquifers, for example.
So how do you clean it?
Okay, so here's the reason why a lot of that water is thrown away. It's because it's very inefficient to clean it. For example, they use chemicals, they use settling tanks, the water's not really clear, so it clogs up the filters. So our process is chemical-free, real-time, and produces truly clear water.
Is it potable or is it drinkable?
Our job is not to make the water potable, because you may not want your use for the water may be to flood your well or to irrigate or to make drinking water. That's really up to you. We make sure it's clear so you can easily do it with conventional technology.
What is your technology based on? What scientific postulate?
Electricity. Basically, we take a proprietary way to pulse the water that's full of particulates, and those particulates clog together and form chunks which then can be easily raked to the surface and harvested. The oil also is removed.
So do you have equipment that does it, or do you have a retrofit to another machine that does it? How does it work?
Those are good questions. So what we do is we license our technology to original equipment manufacturers all over the world. We go for the early adopters, and we often retrofit existing installations. We're doing that. Our first big commercial scale transaction was just a few weeks ago in Malaysia, retrofitting a landfill so it could work properly.
And how do they what do they do with this recovered water, especially in places that have little or no water at all?
Sure. Well, now that you have the water, what do you do with it? And often, for example, the oil industry will use it to, instead of having to truck new water in, they use what they trucked in before and just put it back down well to refrac or whatever. A landfill might send the water to a municipality, or it might go into perhaps an irrigation scheme. There's a wide array of possibilities, but the water's there.
So the real question is, sometimes water is almost seemingly irreversible. Is there any limitation to how bad the water could be that you can't clean it, or is it like straight through, all water?
All right. Water's water. But let me tell you, there is a situation where you have drinkable water that has microtoxins, that has those estrogens, Valium, psychiatric drugs, benzene, toluene, that are in the drinking water. You've heard of toilet to tap? Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people like the term toilet to tap, and rightly so, because we need to recycle the water, but the municipalities are not getting those microtoxins out. Our process with advanced oxidation can literally blitz these microtoxins in a way that nothing else can.
So you're using electricity. So
Yes.
How do you supply the electricity, and where does the supply of electricity come from?
Well, often the supply is so minimal that it can be done with solar panels, for example. It's very standalone, but we don't solve those problems on the ground. That's why we have partners. We adopted a licensing model because we can cover the whole world with our technology and get it adopted, but we also don't have a big capital expense. What that does mean is it takes a while for the revenue to generate, but we're growing revenue now at 50% a year, And that's a very nice thing because my technology division is paying its own way. Meanwhile, we've started acquiring companies.
What kind?
Profitable, solid water treatment service companies that are solving problems on the ground for clients. And we're adding these in because more and more people who are making water dirty, like Intel or any company like that, is going to have to clean the water themselves, and they're relying on local providers, and we're rolling those up and creating a group.
So how do you compete against other filtration systems, because there are others?
Well, we are actually friends to the filtration because we're upstream from filtration, guys. We're right in the middle. We compete with chemicals. That's easy because we're roughly half the cost of the chemical process. So do the math. You want half the price? You got it. And it's faster, less real estate, less moving parts. So it's really a better mousetrap at a time when the world really needs a better supply of water.
Do you have IP on this technology?
Right. This is wholly developed in-house. We have 11 key inventions, about 40 filings surrounding it, patents filed, patents granted, patents pending, and we pay a lot of attention to the IP. The key is to create a brand so that when people want the real thing, they'll go to OriginClear.
What's your background?
Well, interestingly enough, it's in high tech. So I came up through the .com, and we learned in the .com to go after the enthusiasts, not the conservatives and the skeptics, because they'll come along anyway. But meanwhile, you don't want them in the road. So what we've done is we get a lot of PR out there, trade PR. People know about us, and then they put up their hand. It's like, I got a problem. Can you solve it for me? We solve it in Malaysia, in Thailand, in the Middle East, Spain, wherever it is. We get scale, and eventually the big slow guys, they'll pick it up because it's proven.
Riggs, let's get your website out there for our investor audience.
Absolutely. It's OriginClear.com, and put your name in at the bottom in the newsletter sign up. You'll get updates directly from me, and I'll reply to your emails if you send them to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Riggs Eckelberry, OriginClear. It's a publicly traded company, and the symbol is OCLN. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive, and we're coming to you live from the Marcum MicroCap Conference 2017 right here in New York City. Riggs, good to see you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Shelley.